Morning. Power up with pride. Or, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. Thank you so much for joining us. It is day 2 of Winter Pride 2023. I hope you're ready for a full day of some amazing runs, all in the name of raising money for an amazing charity, Point of Pride. My name is Dr. No. I'm going to be your host for this first run of the day. We're going to get things going in just a tiny bit. But first, we did have a couple donations come in the little overnight shift, and I wanted to make sure that we said thank you for that. We have a $5 anonymous donation that says 666. Oh, wait, the horror block is done. Thank you for that, anonymous. And we also have a $4 donation from Scala Kitty. Just gonna slide a donation in here. Thank you so much. All of your money is going to a phenomenal charity. And let me tell you a little bit about that charity before we get too far in. We're raising money for Point of Pride. Point of Pride is a trans-led 501c3 nonprofit organization, and they've served tens of thousands of people in all 50 states and 100 plus countries by providing access to gender-affirming health and wellness services. The money we raise will go to Point of Pride's various support programs, such as their HRT Access Fund, which is a scholarship-like program that provides 12 months of free medical care for trans folks seeking gender-affirming hormone replacement therapy via Point of Pride's telehealth partners. If you'd like to apply for one of Point of Pride's grants or garment programs, get involved as a donor or volunteer, or just learn more about them, visit pointofpride.org and you can type !charity in the chat and you'll learn all about some of the amazing work being done by Point of Pride. Also, before we get too far into it, I want to make sure that everyone here knows that we have merch for this event. Adorable mugs, t-shirts, tote bags, and hoodies are all available in support of Point of Pride. You can type !merch in chat and get the links to both our Winter Pride 2023 store and the Point of Pride store. Alright, I really don't want to keep everyone waiting for some amazing gameplay, so we're here to raise some money for Point of Pride, but we're also here to watch some fantastic speed runs. And I'm happy to say that we're kicking off today with an absolute banger. I hope you're ready because we raised some money to solve some bid wars, and we are having a heroine join us for this run of Crystalis 80% glitchless by TheAxeMan and a special guest. Axeman, please take it away.
Hello. Good morning, everyone. Yes, this is Crystalis Glitchless, or Crystalis. I don't know. What do you say, Matrick?
It's Crystalis. I don't even want to hear it.
All right, and as we were saying, we have a special guest here, TAS Bot. So I'm the TAS author a long time ago, but I'm playing as a human today. So we're going to see how well I do when I've got to do that. And so Crystalis is like this awesome action adventure RPG, and our character is going to come out of a cryo tube where they've been sleeping for like 100 years or something.
It's been a minute.
Yeah. But we need to input their code name. So what did we get for that?
Thank you to everyone who donated. By the way, real quick, when you donate, make sure that you are able to pick both a target and a poll. That's a special thing you can do this time using our new donation system. But in case of the name for the Crystalis, forgive me, I think it's no surprise to everyone that the name for this run is going to be TAS Bot.
All right.
TAS Bot.
Capital B.
Where's that? All right. So the time will start when we walk out of the cryo tube here. There's be a little like flashing light sequence, but actually, I don't. Does it even flash? We'll see. But then we'll get started. Is everyone ready?
Let's go.
Let's do
Yeah.
it.
Okay. So this is Crystalis. It's some sort of post-apocalyptic world where we've come out of the thing, and you know, in the game normally it's a hero, and there's a heroine that appears like 2 or 3 times in the whole game. But in this run, we have been transformed into the heroine. Her name is Mija in the game, but in this run, we are playing as Mija.
Yeah, we have a lot of work being done in the randomizer community to create different kinds of sprites and things, and as a result of that, we're able to get Mija here as our main character. So today we get to play as a different character.
So one thing to keep in mind, and a few points in the plot here, is that the game is normally meant to be played with a male hero, and so some things are going to be a little off.
Yeah, there's a little goofiness with some of the change spell requirements and things, such as the town of Amazonas. So for those of you that know what Crystalis here is and have seen the any % runs from before, there's going to be some different things here. There will be no shop glitching, there will be no ghetto flight, because this is a glitchless run, so the route has to have been changed a little bit to account for some of these glitches not being able to be used. Same with statue glitches and stuff. So the beginning of the game is going to be pretty much the same. Axe is going to do some grinding here on a choreographed route in order to maximize experience, because this game has hard level requirements in order to be able to damage enemies. So before you can go into the first dungeon, Axe has to get to level 2. So that means killing tigers and slimes to get the amount of experience necessary. The experience route is going to end up in such a way so that the last kill will happen immediately before heading into the cave, thereby not wasting any time. So as I mentioned, the route for killing the enemies is completely choreographed. The spawns are all set in certain positions, and these enemies here are always going to be there when you get there, so no problems with that. The tigers have set movement patterns, so they're able to be manipulated. The slimes move in random directions, but they do it when RNG calls for it, so they can be somewhat controlled. So we blow a flute here and wake up a guy who throws a key at us that we're going to take and throw into a keyhole, because who walks up to keyholes in this world? We just throw the key across the room. Boom, look at that. So what that does is that actually starts a windmill, which for some reason is linked to a cave entrance that explodes open, and we don't ask questions in this world, we just do what they do. So Axe did a maneuver that was originally TAS only, but we discovered that, with some interesting movement, yikes, these slimes are not being friendly this morning. But it was discovered that the HUD is actually, a part of the game in which you as the player can attack enemies and they can attack you. So Axe was able to run down, shoot the slime in the HUD, and head up for an extra experience. It does save one of the slime grinds. Ah, bummer. Crystalis is a game that, being an action RPG, the sword's hitbox is a little goofy. And every time the button gets pressed, it actually resets its position. So learning to time your swings as best as possible, or mash in such a way so that your sword's hitbox is maximized, is something that, a lot of players struggle with early on. As a long-time runner myself, I always said, learn to time your swings, which a lot of people just like to mash.
I mean, yeah, early on, whatever, yeah.
So the slugs that are here, as I mentioned before, all the enemies in this cave required level 2 before they were able to be damaged. And so hitting level 2 allows Axe to damage them. The slugs that are here are like the slimes outside, in that they have random movements whenever the RNG calls for it. But there's some extremely dangerous enemies here in these red slimes, because they can poison you. And poison in this game is a status effect that never goes away. So if you're poisoned, you're gonna die. It's just, the way it goes. So ideally here, Axe will never get poisoned. He will never need to go and pick up the antidote that's in the top of this cave. and, you know, we can just roll right on through. So that was the Ball of Wind he picked up. In this game, each sword has 2 different upgrades associated with it, a ball and a bracelet. And what they're associated with is the level of the charge. And the charge allows you to break walls or build bridges, depending on the sword, when you're at level 2. And at level 3, cast a powerful magical attack. So what he's going to do here is he's going to set up a grind so that he can get himself to 37 experience points before he just goes and finishes out the rest of the cave. Every single enemy from the point that he's at onward is exactly spawned in such a way to have the perfect amount of experience if he were at 37 when he started this. Another thing that you're going to notice here is Axe oftentimes is going to go out of his way to pick up money. And the reason for this is because money in this game actually occupies spawn slots for monsters. So by ignoring a coin pickup on the ground, you actually can put yourself into a position where when you're trying to get experience points, monsters are not spawning because the coins are taking up the spawn slots. So it's important to try to pick up money whenever possible in order to make sure you get the most amount of enemies as you're grinding. So this is our first boss, the Vampire, and he's an absolute clown fiesta, as you've seen, with 2 different teleports directly on top of him right away. It's an absolute clown fiesta at times, if it wants to be. I have a different name for it, but in the interest of, you know, keeping it a little more PG, we'll go with Clown Fiesta. So the rabbit boots offer 2 things. The first is that whenever you do not have a spell equipped and you have the rabbit boots equipped, you can press the A button to jump. This has a couple of effects. One, you can jump over enemies. It also allows you to climb some slopes that are required for the story. So this is a little bit of a change from the standard 80% route. Normally, it's just kill the exact amount of enemies that spawn in, and we're going to go and shop glitch a bunch of boots in our inventory to get around the map. But that's not really an option here, because the money actually has to be farmed. So Axe is going to do a little bit of a grind here, something that's not actually there.
Yeah, I had some trouble with these guys, but oh.
Yeah, axe throwers are gigantic jerks, and actually the 3 here that Axe is killing currently, these are referred to as the 3 idiots, and that's their official name. So the thing about the 3 idiots here is that they are on, oops, axe to the face. They are on a spawn timer where, you know, when he leaves the screen, every so often they will repop in, provided that there is, you know, sufficient time for them to be able to hit their respawn points. Now, as I recall, Axe is going for 320-ish bucks here, is what you're grinding for?
Actually, I only need 215.
Oh, 215? Oh, okay. So you're essentially done. We're done.
Well, if I can not die here.
I don't know why I thought it was like 300 something. I thought you bought 5 pairs of boots.
No, I'd like to buy more, but these guys only give you 4 each, so it's too much to get that much. So we're going for 215. That means we can go to the inn for $20, and then we can visit the shop here and get 3 boots. So in this shop is the first one where you can actually, with the glitch, you can actually buy them for free because there's no there's an empty slot in the shop, so you can actually get it for free. But that would be a glitch.
Now, it is possible, actually, to accidentally shop glitch in this game, because the way the shop glitch works is that you're essentially just moving your cursor over, and the cursor being moved over, you can hit the button to activate it before actually it updates. So the way the shop glitch normally works is you're just trying to buy something for a cheaper price, or in most cases for nothing. And so it's really hard when you're going quickly through a menu to avoid it entirely. But by specifically not doing things like going from an empty tile over, you can avoid abusing the glitch, in the way in which it would normally be abused. And that's what Axe is going to do. I mean, if you were to go from, say, like an antidote to a pair of warp boots quickly and buy it, he might get it for a few bucks less, and there really wasn't anything he could do short of intentionally slowing his movements. And that's just, something that, if it happens, you deal with it. It's not a big deal. It's unintentional.
Can I hop in real quick with an announcement?
Do it.
All right, so throughout this entire marathon, you're going to have the opportunity to help decide some really interesting and cool things for our runs coming up. And we just opened up a new one. We have a run of Titanfall 2 coming. Kill the Marvin or spare the Marvin. And that is going to be entirely up to you. So if you are able to donate, make sure that if you want to enforce either killing or sparing the Marvin, you select the option in the poll that you want your donation to go to. That will let us know whether we kill the Marvin or spare the Marvin.
All right.
Okay, so here's another spot Axe is doing right now, which is the Stomp Battle. And the Stomp Battle is something that normally you would just use a quick glitch and warp away through. And the warp away is a glitch. It's a program, error that we're able to abuse. So normally you're just supposed to fight it out with him. You can win on the third try. It's not really worth it because he'll fight back much harder than if you just go for a fourth time. I think the way that the game originally designed this encounter was that you would go out, you'd come in, he'd beat you up, you'd gain a level and come back. And if you do this 3 times, it gets you enough experience to be able to fight the enemies in the next area. And so I believe that's actually what the game's initial programming was designed to do. But you can just walk in and out of the room a couple times and it keeps advancing. So that's how we do it in a speedrun setting. Returning the kid back to the town, it's going to get him a new sword and an insect flute, which is the people of this town really want you to get eaten by this giant insect. That's what's really happening here. They don't like you.
So fun.
Absolutely. If one of the things you'll learn about this game is that the enemies are, or the townspeople are not generally, they sound friendly, but they're really not that helpful.
No. Even if you save them, they're kind of like, oh, so you saved us, big deal.
Right.
Do I have time for something real quick?
Sure. Yeah, please.
I wanted to make sure, because we just got a raid from Abby's Corner. Thank you so much for that raid. If you're tuning in for the very first time, you are watching Winter Pride. This is Winter Pride 2023, benefiting Point of Pride. If you want to help us raise money for Point of Pride, and you are able to do so, you can donate by using the !donate in chat. But you can also see what's coming up later on today. Check out the schedule by using !schedule. And I mentioned this earlier, but I did want to say that it is amazing how, of all of us right now, the one that is most awake is TAS Bot.
TAS Bot is always awake.
I think our feed is woken up a little bit too. I believe I'm a little closer now, as Axe is doing another grind here on the mushrooms and the some more axemen here. So again, as I mentioned, when we were talking about the right level to do it, Axe needs to get level 5 before he can kill anything in the next area. So that's why he's going to kill a few mushrooms here and these axemen as they come down. And believe it or not, the 3 idiots from the top would actually come down if his grind was long enough. Because they are initial spawns on the map. I'm actually surprised you didn't set a checkpoint there, to be honest. This mountain is... Oh, you're going to do it here on the, in the Zebba's Cave. True.
Yep.
Yeah, this mountain is brutal for people that are learning the game. The enemies that are here this is the first area where you're actually going to need to swap your elements between enemies. Basically, everything you've seen up to this point, up to the mushrooms, has been able to be killed by both, the wind sword and the fire sword. But here on the mountain, this is, where the game's going to begin throwing enemies in combination groups that you have to swap between your weapons to get. And as I mentioned before, with poison being so dangerous, these red wyverns here are poisonous. So if he gets poisoned on the mountain, it's bad. He doesn't want that.
A safety antidote herb, and we haven't used it yet. So we have one safety antidote here.
So there's going to be a little bit of a zombie grind here. Axe will need to be level 6 before he can kill anything in the next area. So he's going to do a couple of zombie loops here and then crush a bunch of enemies on the way through the Tornado Bracelet Cave and Saber South's Cave. And that should get him just the experience that he needs in order to get to level 6, so that when he heads to Saber North, he can then kill the plants that are there to get the level that he needs to kill the first real boss of the game. So the zombies that are here are worth 12 experience. The brains inside the cave are 8, and the wyverns are 10. So there's also some spiders that are 10 as well, I believe. It's been a while since I remember all the vanilla experience values. So used to randomizer at this point.
Yeah. The zombies are worth so much that, there's really, you really have to grind these guys. And they're also, they just sort of shamble around, so they take a lot of hits, but you can kind of push them along, which makes them fairly efficient if you're kind of going, going through.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna, take a big safety here, which is going to make this a lot easier.
You're going to head out after the Tornado Bracelet? Heal?
Yeah.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah, in order to have enough warp boots for that, I had to not use warp boots in the swamp. So, one of the ways you could, speed this up is if you use your warp boots there, and then you would just walk out here. But it's just short of having enough.
It's only like a 20-ish second walk from the kid back to the town, so it's not the worst place to do it.
No.
It's better to do it there than it would be to walk from Oak to Bryn Mawr.
Yeah, and the other thing is that since we would have had to walk all the way down out of that tornado bracelet spot to all the way back down the mountain, and so we kind of we get to skip that walk there.
So something that you'll notice is that Axe just bought an armor and a shield. Now this is something that you would never normally see in most speedruns, and that's because there's not really a good place to be able to shop glitch armor decently from the, in the any percent route until you get to Portoa with the platinum armor, if you're going to do that, which most runners don't. They wait until they get all the way to Shy Run and jack a ceramic shield and a ceramic suit and a battle shield. And that's pretty much the only armor in the game that an any percent route would use. But here in the glitchless route, it's kind of tough. You don't get around to some of these areas as quickly because not skipping a bunch of areas means that you have to fight through even more enemies than you normally would, and so some of these are pretty nasty. So getting the armor early is, important.
Is this a good time to hop in with some announcements and stuff?
Sure, we're getting onto a mountain here of climbing to grab some chests, so go right ahead.
Excellent. I mentioned earlier that we have a new bid war open to save or kill the Marvin, but that is not the only poll that we have that you can help us make some decisions on. We have a character bid war for Xenoblade Chronicles. You can choose between Shulk, Melia, or Nene. That's something that you can choose to help help make a decision. We also have a language choice. And right now, Japanese is winning. So if you want to help make a decision between English or Japanese for the Xenoblade Chronicles Future Connected run that's coming up later in the marathon, you can help us do so. We also have an open target that we are trying to hit. And that is if we are able to raise $250 for Point of Pride, we will have an Easter egg showcase for Purgatory coming up. Trust me, you're not going to want to miss that. And because of our new donation system, this is really cool. You can put your donation towards both a poll and a target. So you don't have to choose between, do I want the Shulk character or do I want to see the Easter egg? You can do both. You just have to make sure you pick which ones you want so that we know what to credit. !donate in chat if you're able to help us. It is a phenomenal cause. Your donations will go to helping some amazing people get the help that they need. But you also get to see some cool stuff as part of the marathon. So win-win.
Absolutely. So while those announcements were going on here, and let's hope we get some good donations in on some of these to get this, some of these incentives met. A Purgatory Easter egg showcase sounds fantastic. AxeMan did pick up the teleport spell, which will solve the warp boots problem from before. Teleport costs 20 MP, so as long as he's not burning through all of his MP on refresh, he can use teleport to get around the world now. Another thing that you saw him do was warp back to the first town and talk to a rabbit that told him that some evil people came and took everybody away, those jerks. And the reason for that is because there's a trigger on the mountain that you cannot pass that we normally just walk in between, but that would be considered a glitch, and we don't do glitches in this run, do we, Axe?
No. Not this run.
Yeah, as a result of that, we had to talk to a nice rabbit there. TAS Bot really wanted to glitch through there, but we had to tell him no, TAS Bot,
look,
no.
you made TAS Bot sad.
Yeah, well, you know what, TAS Bot, you're cheating. We're not cheating in this run. There are no glitches. We got a little bit of a grind coming up here. This is arguably one of the longer grinds as far as time is concerned, but the reason that it goes pretty quickly is because it's set up in such a way so that you could just walk out of the cave, charge up, the enemies are in perfect location, and we blast through 2 plants at a time. And we're going to do this to get all the way up to level 7, because our first major boss, General Kielbasa, requires that you get level 7. And, we want to make sure that we squash some beef here, so General Kielbasa's got to go down. We have to get level 7 first. So, despite the fact that it looks like it's, kind of a long grind, getting both of these enemies at a time, they're worth, 14 experience a hit?
15.
15, yeah, so it's 30 experience per loop. It's 40 loops. It's not the end of life. It goes pretty quickly, as you can see here.
Yeah. There are other enemies on the mountain here, but none of them are they're all a lot harder to beat than these guys.
Well, here's what's great. The ice golems that are on this mountain have the exact amount of defense that if you try to stab them with your sword, you will hit them for 0. You can only damage them with charge attacks, and it's slow. They have a ton of health. They're on the do not kill list. And the soldiers that are worth 25 experience on here and use the wind sword to kill are just dangerous. They will straight up kill you. So this is the safest enemy to grind on. These guys are quick and easy, and so it just makes the most sense that we're gonna, just burn some plants away. Who cares about agriculture in this game? They've already been through a cataclysm anyway, so what are we worried about? I'm farming some plants here. Now, unfortunately, getting the money here is not really an option if you want to go quickly, despite the fact that it would be nice coming up, to get some extra cash, because the next region has Medusas that do so much damage. Getting the platinum armor would be fantastic if we could afford that somehow.
Yeah, these guys don't give you that much money, we're gonna get a lot more money in a little bit here, so, because you keep getting more money, more experience from the enemies, so you're kind of always better off just, trying to move on as fast as you can.
Yeah, this game is an objective-based game. The objectives are sometimes experience, and the objectives are sometimes the items in the dungeons. And if we can work it out in such a way so that we get both at the same time, it's even better. That's kind of what it was on Saber South, with doing a few zombie loops, and then, getting the rest of the enemies while we were on the way up the mountain. And so whenever that's possible, that's what we want to try to do. But here, it's just not really realistic because, you know, the things that we mentioned before with both the ice golems and the soldiers. In the next region, the best grind is going to come after, you know, we go deep into a dungeon to get the sword, the next sword, because the enemies that are there are only going to be weak to water, and those Medusas, we have to just run past them in order to do it. But we will have some nice tools that will make that a little bit easier here on the way over there, and hopefully we don't get bodied too many times because they hurt. So as we mentioned before, this is my favorite NPC in the game. This is the shopkeeper that when you rescue him says, "So you saved us, big deal." Might be one of the greatest lines in the history of RPGs, because I can't imagine somebody that cares less about the fact that you just released them from, you know, slaving away in the mines to mine some kind of metal. It just could not care less.
I have a challenge for chat and everyone here. If you have a better NPC line than "So you saved us, big deal," add it as a donation, and I'll make sure that I read it here, and we can have a discussion together as to what is the best NPC line of all time.
Good luck. I mean, there's some fantastic ones, but I don't know that they're quite as sarcastic as what that guy is. That guy is pretty magnificent. So Kelbesk went down there, as you saw. He just kind of decided to turn into a linebacker and try to body Axe, but because Axe had some armor, he was able to survive it. And down goes General Sausage, and we're off to the next area here, where someone's going to contact us telepathically and teach us how to use a spell. Now, this spell is a little different from the spells of most games, and the reason why is because you can use this spell to have fun with townspeople. And, you know, when you have a jerk shopkeeper that doesn't care, why wouldn't you want to go and use paralysis on him, right? So, as a bit of a joke, that's actually a required step here. So, the queen, she goes back and forth between being the fortune teller and being the queen. And so when she moves, this guard blocks the doors you saw there. So by using the paralysis spell and laughing as we walk past the guard, you do a great job. We're able to go and visit the waterway, which is the story trigger that's necessary to go and, you know, get the queen to give us the next item that we need in order to make progress, which is the Flute of Lime. And the Flute of Lime, for some reason, is a ocarina-shaped tool that when you blow it, cures petrification from people. And as a result of that, we're going to go and toot our horn, and we're going to de-stone some people.
So is paralyzation just scurvy?
You know, maybe they're so sick that they've frozen in place. I'm good with that. I don't got a better explanation. I mean, there is a fruit of lime which you can somehow manage to eat while you are stoned in order to become unpetrified, which don't ask me how that works. I mean, I guess apparently you're not totally stoned.
Yes.
I mean, get blasted in the face with a beam of energy which turns you to stone, and you just got better by eating a fruit. I don't know
Make
how
sure
it
you're
works.
getting enough vitamin C in your diet, chat.
So, as I mentioned before, these are the Medusas. So Medusas here are only weak to water and thunder swords we do not currently have. And, yeah, we gotta go and find the water sword, which coincidentally just happens to be hiding behind an ice wall in the back of this waterfall cave. So, we're gonna pick up the sword of water here, and now we can stab some Medusas. Medusas are worth 50 experience a hit, which is huge. But they're giant targets, they move randomly, and they never stop moving. The only time that they will stop is to fire a petrification beam out. So what Axe is going to try to do here is herd the Medusas into areas where they're either easily paralyzed to push them along, or if they just happen to be right up against a wall and you can stab them to save the 4 MP. That's ideal, because the less refresh we have to use here, the more paralyzes we have for this grind. So, yeah, we got to get to 1,500 experience here, or 1,550 if he's going safe. because there are a few monsters on the way to the next area, and we need to be level 8 before we can damage enemies in both the Crystalis plant and Fog Lamp caves. And that's our next destination.
Yeah, we got took some shots here, so we'll have to be a little safe.
Yeah, you got bodied a little bit early on, especially taking that hit before you even started the grind. That one hurt.
Can I hop in real quick?
Absolutely.
So, I don't know if you know this or not, but we have merch. Yes, we have merch. Our very own Scala Kitty has created some amazing designs that you can purchase for yourself and support Point of Pride at the same time. Exclamation point merch in chat. If you're able to type that, you'll get a link to our bonfire store, and you'll be able to take home some choice merchandise. Trust me, it's really good. Oh, no, sorry. Quick, get the vitamin C.
Hang on, that Medusa was uninterested. It was like, please stop chatting. I'm just gonna leave now.
Yeah, like I said, they moved Oh shoot. Okay, that was bad because I threw off my. Oh, but okay, I've got a safety. I've got a safety for that. We're gonna have to blow off our magic ring, but that's okay.
So,
Actually,
speaking of blowing off, if you got a few dollars to blow off, let's head over and buy some merch. Why not? Let's support those with, our artists and our cause here. Let's do it.
Well, and I want to hop in and say we have a $15 anonymous donation loving this Crystalis run. Good luck.
Excellent.
Thank
I'm glad you're enjoying it.
Also, hi, TAS Bot.
Hey. Okay, so Axe was able to get the experience that was necessary in order to get level 8. We're going to make a quick trip down here, run into a merman who's guarding a giant tree. The only merman in the game, by the way. And Bro Sidon here, the merman, he is going to notice that we have the Sword of Water. He's going to give us the Ball of Water that lets us make bridges, which normally you would need to make a bridge there to go and get the answering machine trigger there.
I mean, this is a glitchless run, so it's not like we need a glitch or anything. There's just no trigger there.
There's not. Not in the base game, anyway. But normally that's a story element where you walk inside the tree, and we get to meet our heroine here, who tells us, some story information, and then you move on. But we don't really care about story in a speedrun. I don't know about you guys. I don't care about the story. So we're just going to skip the story event, and we're going to go right into the next dungeon, where we're going to kill some enemies here, and we're going to go and find a fragrant plant that is going to be necessary later in the game.
That's right. I'm not sure what's so special about this plant, but it's apparently has some sort of properties that are very desirable.
Apparently it's very fragrant, and it's used for making perfume, but we all know that queen's going to go and smoke that herb the second we leave that room.
Yeah.
It's a must. Incense, right? Incense. I don't know what the rest of you were thinking. It's incense. It's a fragrant plant.
Incense, sure.
Yeah.
We have a comment in chat. I may have just realized this isn't rando.
You have done well this day, Flannel Cat.
Yep.
So picking up the Carissa plant there, a quick warp back to Portoa, a little bit of healing here, and we're going to do a little event right before we go into the next dungeon. It just ends up working out in such a way that we can get some of these triggers out of the way right now. So what's happening here is that he's going to use, now that he has the Ball of Water, he can go behind the waterway and build some bridges here to find out that our queen, who was also the fortune teller, is also the wise man Athena, which is probably a mistranslation from the name Athena, but we don't want to talk about Athena. Anything NES related with Athena is not good, so we're going to just call her Athena instead. We're going to shove a medical herb into the mouth of this dolphin who's going to spit back a flute at us, but we can't use it yet. And the reason we can't use it is because we don't have a fog lamp that we need to get on the boat. So we need to go find the fog lamp, which I don't know how, but boat owner there decided to go and drop it in the back of a cave and then forgot that he dropped it there. So it's on us to find it. And that's where we're going.
That time for something quick.
Always.
We have a $5 donation from Scala Kitty on NPC dialogue. The whole Edo World section of Final Fantasy Legend II is top tier, but a special shout out to the officer with the hard-boiled line of, Hannah, give it up. Some big guys are concerned in this case. It's getting out of our hands. Thank you so much, Scala Kitty, for that donation. And the contribution to our discussion on NPC dialogue.
That's a good one.
The Fog Lamp Cave here has an enemy that's doing something that we've never seen before, which is firing off of a permanent status effect. In the case of the spiders here, they shoot the same paralysis beam that you do. And as I mentioned before with poison, most of the status effects in this game that are really the dangerous ones they're permanent until they're cured. Now, granted, Axe does have the recover spell now. Got it from Asina, so he is able to cure that paralysis. But if he was to get it, it costs 24 MP, which is a huge chunk. We don't want to have to burn any MP if we don't have to.
I mean, there is a trick to get rid of paralysis, as long as you don't mind being poisoned.
True. Words to remember. If you get hit with one status effect, just go get hit with something else and you'll forget that you had the previous one. Isn't that like, when you were a kid, someone would be like, oh, hey, if your head hurts, what if I hit your arm? Will your head stop hurting? That's kind of how status effects work in this game.
Oh, now we're poisoned. But it's okay.
Yeah, Crystalis was invented before multiple status effects were, because this game can't have them. It only has the ability to keep track of one status effect at a time. So if you get poisoned, it overrides your paralysis or petrification or, whatever. And these techniques can be used to, override different status effects.
So to be clear, the two ways that we know of right now to cure paralysis are vitamin C and literal poison.
Absolutely. Yes. Sleeping it off, too. We can also sleep it off. You can go to the inn and just sleep it off.
I mean, you can also reset it away.
Yes, you can. That is true. If you did hit a checkpoint, you can hit the reset button and the game will forget that you had that status effect. I love it when the game forgets things like that, it doesn't bother me. The game doesn't remember, neither did I. So Axe is going to pick up that platinum armor that I mentioned before. It's a nice defensive upgrade here, and it's going to be the best armor he's going to get until... Psycho armor?
Yeah, I'm not going to get anything else till then.
Yeah.
So I'm going to be actually under-armored compared to even, the world record route, because... because I can't glitch it.
So we give a fog lamp back to the boat owner there, who lets us borrow his boat to run out to the island here, which, when we talk to our wise man Kentsu, who is an ultimate jerk, by the way, we're finally able to call our friend the dolphin, and now we're going to go and do a whole bunch of stuff on the ocean, including a nice little grind on some turtles or jellyfish or Elden Ring dogs, whatever you want to call them, that they exist. And on the way there, we're gonna find a piece of jewelry that was hiding down at the bottom of the ocean. We just reached down really far, go gadget arms in this case, and because of that, just dredge the bottom of the ocean there and find a necklace that was dropped in the waterway there.
Yeah, you could normally skip most of this section with a nice little glitch, but glitches.
Wait, hold on. I thought we weren't doing glitches here. Let's not even talk about that ghetto flight. Nobody even knows it exists in this world. This is the glitchless world. We can't just jump off of a dolphin with a one-frame trick, and fly over the water by confusing the game. That we don't do that in this run. So the dogs that we're killing here, I'm going to call them dogs because, as we all the enemies in the next area until level 10, and the boss requires level 11. It's another one of those situations where, each region gives you just enough experience to get you to the next enemies that are a little more efficient to get the amount of experience necessary to kill the next enemy that's, gives better experience. And this is normally something that a lot of people don't see here. Evil Spirit Island and Sabera's Fortress are entirely skipped in the standard 80% route because of the Get a Flight trick we were mentioning before. And this is because flight is not something you normally get until basically nearly the end of the game. But we can trick the game into thinking we have flight and skipping this dungeon entirely. So, we can't do that, you know, in this route. We're not skipping anything. We're going right through the way in which, you know, the game intended it. And so that means we have to clear Evil Spirit Island here in order to get the tools that we need to get past the whirlpools so we can make it to the next area.
Yep, so we got, yeah, an interesting sequence here.
Yeah, there's a lot of kind of jokey, punny references in this game. Coming up here, we're going to run into a guy named Clark, who has a pair of glasses that let you see through invisible walls. He doesn't need them, so he's just going to cough them up to us once we've taken down the boss. And we're going to use those to see through a fake wall that'll allow us to get to a lighthouse, where we can then toot our horn to wake up a guy who says he wished he would be eaten by zombies. We're going to get a bunch of items, and we're going to use all of those items together to create a special statue that's going to get away the whirlpools.
I have often said that upon waking up, to be fair.
Have you? You wished people would be eaten by zombies?
No, I thought you said, I wish I would be eaten by zombies, and I have definitely felt that when I was waking up at certain points.
I see.
So-
Well, our jerk NPC wishes you would get eaten by zombies, not him.
So, since I used the magic ring earlier, I'm going to pick up another one here.
Well, you might need to use it if you keep getting shot.
Yeah.
So these wyverns have the ability to use paralysis as well, as you can see. Jeez, are you kidding me? They're out for blood today. The magic rings in this game are a consumable item that when you burn it, it completely refills your MP. There is another item that you can use on the field to restore your MP, but it sucks. It's the Fruit of Power, and it's only, I think, 48 MP. It's not very good.
Not a lot.
Yeah, in this game, 48 MP sounds like a lot, but when you have spells that cost somewhere between 20 and 40 MP per cast, it's not very much. Okay, so this is the Evil Spirit Island town, which, as you can see, is destroyed and has zombies walking around it, and there's a castle behind it. And the castle that's here is housing our next major enemy of the game, the vampire. Wait, no, it's not actually a vampire. The vampire is just a mini-boss that's on the way to General Sabera, who is our next major enemy. So, thanks to the game's goofy spawning of enemies, that vampire teleported to the top of the screen, and the bats that he normally spawns literally despawned. They went off screen. The fun part about that is those bats are actually too strong for Axe to be able to hit, despite the fact that he can kill the boss. So he would just have been harried by the bats the entire fight, and ended up getting lucky. Wait, why are you stabbing yourself, dude? What are you doing here? Oh, it was a fake, I see.
I'm clearly a fake, yeah.
So this is Sabera. Sabera is a sorcerer that goes down quite quickly, and has a really unfortunate script of just standing there in the middle of the screen. And, well, you can just kind of stab her in the back of the head for a few seconds before she does anything else. And it makes the fight go really quickly. So there's our buddy Clark, which gave us a pair of glasses, which look like a gas mask. Don't question it. And we're gonna use those gas masks to open a wall here. Now, as I mentioned before, we are gonna have to toot a horn, which we didn't have. So Axe had to go buy one because, you know, just so happens that the shop here carries alarm flutes. And we're gonna use it to wake up Kensu, as always. Big Jerk wishes we were eaten by zombies, and he dropped the glowing lamp. So now, the glowing lamp is the item that is used alongside of the broken statue to repair it to create the statue of gold. The statue of gold has to be taken over to an island shrine, where you drop the statue on the island shrine, and it calms the whirlpools. And we have just completed the entire sequence that the any % run skips by jumping off of the dolphin and flying over the water.
Yeah, you got all that? It's not complicated at all, is it?
There's nothing at all complicated in this game. All of this game's sequences are so quick and easy for anybody to understand. And our reward for calming the whirlpools is the barrier spell, which is actually fantastic and really makes a lot of this game so much more doable as the game goes on. But do you guys remember that love pendant that we dredged the bottom of the ocean with our hands to find? Well, now we're going to make use of it here, because our buddy Kensu is using the change spell to hide amongst the common populace, and he'll teach us how to use it if we find his necklace, which we already found. So the guards that are here are really unobservant, because you can just walk right next to them and cast the change spell on top of them to look like one of them, and they're like, oh, okay, buddy, we're good. And you can even change back right in front of them, and they don't care. They really do their job well. You ever seen Monty Python and the Holy Grail? They're kind of like the guards that watch Lancelot run up and stab him. They're very, very quick and observant.
Yeah, the change form moves slightly slower than the main form, so I want to be in that form, generally less if I can.
Yeah, definitely. So now we're going to make a detour here to go over to a town that is hidden in the mountains. And it is actually the town of the Resistance, where all the wise men are at. And we got to trick these guards by turning into one of their monks. In doing so, we get access to the town. And once you get in for the first time, they're like, oh, you got in? You're cool. We don't have to do that more than once. Our buddy Zebu here, from the very beginning of the game, has moved all the way over here, and he gives us a key to Styxy. You know, the river Styxy from the Greek myths? That's how it's spelled, right? There's certainly couldn't be anything bad there.
That's exactly how it's spelled.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so this is one of the things we were talking about before with some kind of a little bit of goofy shenanigans here. Despite the fact that we are playing a woman, we have to change into a different woman because they didn't like the kind of woman we were before. This is a town full of basic, Starbucks-loving girls. And we got to change into one of them so that we can move on to the, to talk to the queen there to give her that herb that we found in the cave so she can smoke it when we leave the room.
Can I hop in real quick?
Absolutely.
We have a $10 anonymous donation that challenges chat to get to the next funny number.
Oh, the funny number, huh?
And for those of you that are joining us, good morning. Welcome. This is Winter Pride. We are raising money for Point of Pride. You can donate by using !donate in chat. And you can see all of the things coming up today and all weekend by using !schedule.
Excellent. So Axe managed to do something that very few people can do. He managed to get poisoned by a flail guy. Now, if you've ever played this game before, you know that flail guys are some of the worst enemies in the game, because they spin that chain over the top of their head, and they stick it out in front of them, and it's got a wild, long hitbox, and it's really hard to come into contact with them, and Axe managed to do it.
Yeah. So in that room, if you go straight up from the opening, and you go straight up, you will you'll avoid the flail guy's chain, and you'll get to stab him. But if you, the problem was I didn't actually stab him at the right rhythm, and so I got hit by his body.
Yep, it's just a fun joke that we like to make within the community ourselves, because getting poisoned by a flail guy is, it takes effort. It's not that simple. Okay, so we're on to the next grind here. This is Bert. Okay, so Bert is an initial spawning enemy that stands in a doorway and guards it, and he fires out shurikens. And Bert has his twin brother Bert, who's on the other side of the screen, guarding the other half of the things. And you'll notice here that what Axe has to do is he has to use the rabbit boots to jump over the top of him, stab him once on the way down, then run to a safe spot on the side and finish the job. This guy's worth 672 experience a kill, and there's nothing in the game that is up to this point that is even remotely close on experience. I think the next closest thing are the archers out in Go Afield, which are 240 or something like that, 256. So there's nothing that's even remotely close to Bert here. So this is our grind to get us almost all the way to 13. And there will be a few enemies we're going to kill, the ninjas inside of Go Fortress once we get there. But primarily the reason for coming to the Cave of Styxy here is because the Sword of Thunder is hiding here. And when you pick it up, the game goes, Sword of Chonker. At least in the Game Boy Color version it does, because it likes to try to use some voice synthesis on a Game Boy, and it didn't go well at all. So the Sword of Chunker here that we're going to find is the strongest sword in the game. I haven't really talked about swords. Swords, each sword does more damage than the last, and they do it in a factor of 2. So the Sword of Wind does 1 damage, the Sword of Fire is 2, the Sword of Water is 4, and the Sword of Thunder is 8. And the damage of the swords is then doubled for stabs, or increased by whatever value the damage of the charge spell does. So the Sword of Thunder, whenever possible, is going to be the sword he's going to want to use. And you'll notice that, you know, he tries not to use the swords that are lower level to kill things whenever possible, because they just don't do as much damage. And, you know, it is necessary in a lot of areas because the enemies are just not vulnerable to some of the elements. But basically, you know, the goal is to do as much damage as quickly as possible. And that means we want to use the strongest sword whenever we can. That means we're going to be using Thunder a lot for the rest of the game. Hey, did you skip a chest down there?
Oh no, I missed the axe chest!
Oh no, it's the axe chest! So, the chest that's down there out of the previous room that was there, we call that the axe chest. And that's because our buddy TheAxeMan here was doing a run of the randomizer at MagFest, and may have forgotten about that chest that contained a critical item in front of a very large crowd. So, we have coined that the axe chest. You'll never live it down, by the way.
No.
I love it when you get something in the game you run named after you.
Oh yeah. Once you've acquired it, like in the Crystalis randomizer community, it's a badge of honor to have, you know, have something named after you, because that means that you put in enough effort that you've earned it. Okay, so now going through these statues, you use the barrier spell to avoid getting hit, and then he gets teleported, or he gets told telepathically that everyone's being slaughtered, including our buddy Stan here, who, you know, if you don't talk to them, Axe, they don't die, they just stay sleeping. we find out that they're all been slain by Mado, the ninja cannonball. I'd like everybody here to remember that no matter how cool you think you are, you will never be as cool as a ninja cannonball. And Mado's going to drop us the Ball of Thunder, which is going to be necessary to break the iron walls that you saw there in Go Fortress. But we're going to make a quick detour here. And the reason we're going to make a detour here is because the straight-up single most powerful item in the game is now accessible to us. And that is the Power Ring. And the Power Ring has the effect of, while you have it equipped, it increases your damage by a factor equal to your level. And that means it's going to add 12 damage per hit at this point. And by the time it gets to the next bosses, it'll be adding 13 damage. Now, when I mentioned to you before that the Sword of Wind does 1 damage a hit, and the Sword of Fire does 2, adding 13 damage is quite an exponential increase. And when we get to Go a Fortress, and you start seeing the bosses and how fast they just kind of fall over, you realize that the game developers never really intended for you to come here and get the Power Ring before going to Go a Fortress. Because it's laughable how quickly they're going to go down. Hey, we found the power ring at the power ring spot. We've done it. Is this even randomized? What are you doing, Axe?
Oh no.
Fake seed.
Yeah, true. You know what it is? It's called a plan, though. He set this one up.
Yeah, Steve.
Steve. So, moving on here, this is Goa Fortress. So, Goa Fortress is a massive sprawling complex with 4 gigantic floors to it. Each one of the floors has a huge, one of the game's main bosses at the end of it. We have seen 3 of them so far, and the final one is going to be at the back of this place. And not only is this loaded with enemies, the floors are huge, they're maze-like, there's items all over the place, and we need 2 of them. That's it. 2 of them. We need the ivory statue, and we need the flight spell. The rest of the stuff that's in here, we don't care. Alright, so navigating this wonderful maze of, catwalks and ground floor, we come back to Kelbesk. And Kelbesk has learned some new tricks. He has a sword now, but he didn't get to use it. He forgot. So, as I mentioned, Kelbesk shouldn't go down that fast, but when you're doing 6 times your normal damage output, the bosses tend to die pretty quickly.
Yeah.
So, Sabera's floor here is a bunch of narrow passages and rivers all through it. Rivers of blood and dead bodies, as you can see, floating inside of it. And going through this place, there's basically only one way to get through here. So Axe is going to follow the right wall all the way to the end, which for anybody that's ever played a game that has a maze in it, you just follow the right wall.
That's right.
And if that doesn't get you to the end of it, then you switch to following the left wall. Eventually, you're going to get there. And that's the strategy we use in this game. Follow the right wall to the end. So Sabera, being weak to fire, Axe is going to have to switch to the fire sword here, and, well, you know what? I'm not even going to say anything. You can watch. Okay, so did you miss it? Because I blinked and she was gone. So Sabera is actually meant to be extremely difficult. She has 13 defense, which would mean that you're only dealing 4 damage per hit to her normally without the power ring. But with the power ring, we're instead doing 17 damage a hit, and she kind of just falls over like she's not even there. And this is another one of those that if you've played the randomizer, you love watching Sabera get slapped like that, because she has all the health and all the defense in the randomizer. Okay, we got another little grind here, so we're going to be stabbing some tarantulas, and these tarantulas are worth like about 1,300 experience a hit, and they take 2 hits to kill with the Thunder Sword and Power Ring, so just walk back and forth. We got a bit of a choreographed walk here to ensure that there's enough time for the spawns to come back. And these are going to go down really fast, and we're going to get to level 14, and then we're going to go finish the rest of the dungeon.
So the way the spawning works is that so enemies that don't spawn initially spawn on a timer, and if their spawn location is off screen at a certain point on this, there's like this like counter that just keeps cycling. It's an 8-bit counter, so it takes like 4.5 seconds, and it just keeps cycling. And at certain points on that cycle, it will spawn an enemy at a certain slot. And so as long as that spot is off screen, the enemy will spawn.
Yep, and that's primarily why Axe is making sure... Oh, he went a little too fast there.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, that's why he's picking up the coins, because he doesn't want the spawn slot for the next spider to be taken. And as I mentioned, the walk is ensuring that he's trying to get enough time to allow the next spider to spawn, so that when he gets there, he's good to go. Alright, getting to level 14 here is going to allow us to damage both Mato 2 and Carmine, the final one of Dragonia's finest 4, as they are referred to. And Carmine, despite supposedly being the strongest, somehow ends up being the weakest. Don't question it, that's just how hierarchies work. Nice jump, by the way. That was pretty smooth. So, this is known as the Hellway. And the Hellway is an area full of butterflies and shadows. And the reason that this is the Hellway is because these elevators are programmed in such a way so that if you get touched by anything, you fall off of them. And that means if an enemy bops you, if a stupid paralysis beam hits you, it doesn't matter what it is, you fall. And the shadows that are here have a hitbox that extends up above the shadow as tall as your character is, but you can't damage them without hitting them with a battle magic first. So they just block the path. If they decide to stand at the edge of the elevator, you don't get to go by. You just stop.
Like, in general, the hitboxes in this game are awesome.
Yeah. Alright, once again, we have Mato the Ninja Cannonball here. Axe fired off his level 3 shot there a little early. Didn't get the second one off, and Mato is not being very cooperative today.
Come on.
I'd like to point out that this is the longest any Mato 2 fight has ever gone. Thank you, Marathon Lock.
There.
So Mato 2 drops a shield upgrade here, and off we go.
Can I make a quick point?
Always.
So I want to make sure that we have a chance to talk about what we're doing and why we're doing it. For Winter Pride 2023, we're raising money for Point of Pride. Point of Pride is a trans-led 501c3 nonprofit organization that provides access to gender-affirming health and wellness services. You can visit pointofpride.org for more information about their programs, how you can apply to receive aid, and how you can support them year-round. And you can also type !charity in chat, and it'll give you a link that'll take you right to the Point of Pride website.
Excellent. Alright, so getting back to Carmine's floor here, this room that we're in right now actually has 5 chests that are in at the end of every one of these spike hallways, top and bottom, except the one here, which is going to take us straight to Carmine. So as I mentioned, this is supposed to be the hardest one of all of them, but yeah, he has a rather unfortunate problem of he's allergic to the power ring, like a lot of other enemies in the game are, and, you know, well, sorry, guy, that happens. So Axe skipped the the storm bracelet at the back of that area because he's not going to use it for this run. Normally, everybody loves seeing that, epileptic seizure-inducing thunderstorm go off that flashes your screen for long periods of time and lags the game at the same time. But we don't need to use that here. Instead, we're just going to grab the flight spell and we're just going to get on our way here because we have a bow to find.
That's right, yeah. Yeah, we got one bow.
We do have one bow. That was what we were received for trading the herb, the incense, the smoking incense, that our buddy Arillis wanted there. And the other one is actually just ditched at the top of a mountain on an island surrounded by lava. So in order to get it, we needed the flight spell. Now, don't ask questions as to why you can't fly up the lava over the bridges. You know, that's not something we can answer here. But we can fly over it at the top of the mountain where it's hottest. So that's what's important. We have a short little dungeon here. This is the Mount Hydra set of caves. And Hydra is just a little short jaunt. There's a few chests that are here. We got Gozen Ledge off on one side that's got nothing in it. We got another little chest off on the left that's got nothing in it. And we got a Mimic here at the top. And the game pulled a real jerk move here in this last hallway. Because the little Matrix slimes that are here are nothing special. But if you stab them with the Sword of Thunder, which they are immune to, they grow into a monster slime, and it's one of the strongest enemies in the game. The reason I call it the Magic Slime is because of that. would be why they're called magic slimes, because, you know, they're jerks, they're trolls, they love to poison you and end your runs early on. So now that we have the Bow of Sun, and we have the Bow of Moon, we have the Power Ring, we have all 4 swords, we have everything that we need to go and finish the game. All we have to do is, well, we gotta go find Emperor Dragon. So you guys ready for the final boss? Let's do it! Final boss time!
Let's go!
There is one more bow, but yeah.
But no, we're going to the final boss. Don't spoil the story for him, Max!
We did have a question in chat earlier. Will there be a flashing lights warning coming up at the end of the game?
Negative.
No, because I skipped.
Yeah, there shouldn't be any flashing lights because we're not using the thunderstorm, so we should be fine.
Excellent.
Yeah, so that was the item I skipped. Normally it's pretty convenient, but it actually causes lag, and so.
Well, it actually doesn't cause lag. The programming of the game, interestingly enough, actually it's a programmed-in slowdown for this attack. And so because of that, the game, it's not like if you were to use a ROM or an emulator and try to, eliminate the lag that way, you can eliminate lag everywhere else except for the spell because it's hard-coded in. It's meant for effect. It's supposed to be, flashing the screen and making this strobe effect go off. Like it's the most powerful thing that there is. But we don't care about it, because we don't need it. We're just gonna, we're just gonna stab the final boss. Thunderstorm. We don't need that.
Programmed in slowdown is the nicest way I've ever heard anyone describe lag in my entire life.
No, it's actually, like, the game, it's not lag. The game is truly coded to slow the frame rate down during the effect. It's great. It's hard-coded into the game. It's awesome. It's the strangest phenomenon ever. Because even if you remove the flashing effect from the spell, it still slows the game down.
I have a very important update. We have a $100 donation from Prof NES. This is a good, cozy morning block to be distracted with at work. Not that I'm platform biased or anything. Prof NES, thank you so much for that incredibly generous donation.
Professor Ness coming in hot with a huge donation. I love it. Thank you. Thank you very much. Alright, so Dragon here. There was our final boss, right, guys? That was the big bad guy, Emperor Dragon, and he just went down. This should be over, right? Never mind, there's a pit. We're still going. So Dragon has this unfortunate side effect where he has no iframes. So every frame that your sword is inside of the boss, he's taking a lot of damage. So he goes down pretty quick, too. And, left behind was our good friend Azteca, who we didn't talk about because who cares about story, but he had a bow of truth to show us Dragon's true form. So basically here, to give you a bit of a recap, what we've been doing the whole game is just trying to collect the items that were necessary to find the 3 bows so that we can shoot the lion statues here in the bottom of the crypt with the Bow of Sun and Moon, which then gives us access to the crypt so we can find Emperor Dragon, who we need to use another bow to shoot him in the heart to show his true form, and then by taking him down, then we get to stop the giant evil tower that nobody talked about all game. But that's what our real goal was to stop the giant evil tower.
That's right, yeah.
Sounds like a perfectly normal NES RPG to me. I don't know what you're talking about.
Well,
yeah. They mentioned the tower in the opening, something like to suppress evil forever. Oh.
Slime.
Oh,
okay,
yeah.
So let's talk about sliming for a minute. So these warlocks fire off a slime beam, and what it does is it turns you into a slime. And the slime is called Nuper, N-U-P-E-R. And the item that is used to cure it is the Fruit of Repun, R-E-P-U-N, which is Nuper spelled backwards. So you're undoing the Nuper with a Repun. Right? Got it? Okay. So now, Emperor Dragon here, we're going to shoot him from behind with the bow. And, alright, we got a good pattern. So Axe is just going to stab Emperor Dragon here. And ideally we get a second laser. Perfect. Perfect RNG. That is the perfect RNG. So that is the reason right there why we don't need the Thunderstorm, because we can manipulate him into trying to get the right RNG to give us the fast lasers so that we can just stab him, because we're already in position for it. Now, it does make the tower here a little bit more difficult, but there is a manipulation with these guys where you can manipulate their AI a little bit to fire off to the side, and then you can run around the bottom of them and just kind of stab them while they're facing the wrong direction. The white robots here, however, are a little bit more challenging. One of the reasons for that is because you're not entirely safe inside of the barrier for two reasons. One, the barrier spell has a dead frame every 8 frames. And two, because these guys can actually spawn the projectile inside of the barrier, and so it just hits you. So Axe needs very careful positioning to avoid that on the white robots. The way in which the tower works is there are 3 bronze robots on every floor, and you kill the 3 bronze robots, and that causes the white robots to spawn. When all the white robots have been killed, it spawns the stairs to the next floor. And we have 3 sets of floors to climb before we can reach the top. This has actually been a good tower so far.
Mm-hmm.
While we have a moment, can we take a second and appreciate how awesome TAS Bot has been this entire run?
Well, you know he's playing, right?
I know, that's what I mean. Like, TAS Bot has been crushing it this whole time.
See, what happened is Axe took a couple of deaths early on, and TAS Bot was like, give me that, and I'll take over from here. And you'll notice there's been no deaths since.
Yep.
It's a conspiracy.
Thank you, TAS Bot.
TAS Bot just wanted to make sure we were still on schedule.
That is a noble cause if there ever was one.
Absolutely, I love it. Thank you, TAS Bot. Doing Lord Dragon's work. All right, so we're going to head into the final room here. We're going to meet up with our mirror image, who is going to combine all 4 swords into the mighty Crystalis, which doesn't actually have a charge attack or anything that we can use, so somehow it's weaker. We're going to skip the very last trigger dialogue box here, and we're going to run up and blast this thing in the face. And it's gone. Did you see it? There it was. Bye, final boss. And we're going to stick the sword.
Time, yeah.
Yep, stick the sword into the thing, and we're done. GG's. Nice run, man.
GG, Axeman.
Thank you. Yeah, it went pretty well after, a few deaths early on, and gotta get it out of my system.
Hey, you know what? Those axe throwers are absolute turds. And they are... Essentially, they just kind of walk towards you all nonchalantly, but then they also do this terrible thing where they just get an RNG call and just throw an axe. And they'd love to do it right in your face. And it's terrible. There's basically no wind-up for it. So if they decide to throw an axe, you're getting hit.
Oh, man.
That was an awesome, awesome run, Axeman.
Thank you.
We have time for Jeff Peters. We have to get to Jeff Peters, right?
That's right.
All right, come on, everybody.
Jeff Peters.
Get your Jeff Peters ready in chat.
While we're waiting for Jeff Peters, Axeman, did you have any shout-outs you wanted to give?
Definitely a shout-out for J-Ro, who created this patch and the whole system to put in like changing the sprite. It was originally in the randomizer, but they actually created the ability to create these like graphic patches in the rando. So that's something that came out of the rando, and being able to, which is just great. We have all these old NES games where the hero is always male, so it's really good to be able to have this choice now. And of course, thank you to TAS Bot, and thank you to Dwango AC, his keeper, who let him join me today. And thanks to Matrick for joining me.
Oh, anytime, man. You know it. I'm always down for some good Crystalis action.
Matrick, did you have any shout-outs you wanted to give?
Hey, shout-outs to Power Up for Pride for having us here. It's always fun to be able to show off, one of our favorite games here. and to be able to be alongside Axe, I appreciate him for bringing me along.
Thanks.
It's always a blast. This game is fantastic. It's a hidden gem. Everybody that plays it tends to enjoy it, and glad we were able to put on a good show for you guys today.
Awesome. And where can people find you, AxeMan?
Oh, I'm on TheAxeMan 301 on Twitch, and our randomizer is at crystalisrandomizer.com. And we have a Discord and everything, so yeah, if you're interested in this game, that's probably the best community right now.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. We have done a lot of work on that game. If you play the randomizer, it's a completely different experience compared to the base game. There's so many quality of life changes, and there's so many alterations to take a linear game and make it into a non-linear game. It's a very, very different experience. A lot of fun. Highly recommend.
Thank you both so much, and GG AxeMan, and everyone say bye to TAS Bot.
Bye, TAS Bot.
Thank you for joining us, TAS Bot. We are going to go to a very quick intermission. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.